Hey guys, it's SJ, and I'm here filming a video for some tips and tricks about the upcoming BTS tour ticketing, because I think it's a whole different beast on its own, and I've seen a lot of ticketing tips videos floating around, and I think there's a lot of misinformation as well as not a lot of actual tips of what's going on and some instructions. I've just seen a lot of this is how I bought my tickets last time, or this is how you do this. But one thing I want to make straight is I will reference things that maybe Ticketmaster or Live Nation has said, or maybe a representative has said to me, but I want to make it clear that I am not affiliated with either company in any way. If my information sounds insidery or something like that, it's because I've cultivated this knowledge over a lot of time, read a lot of things, and looked things up. It's not me being a part of the company in any way. So the first thing I want to do is define the verified fan, the ARMY verified fan, that presale, ARMY presale, and then general sales. So the first thing you need to know is it's completely random raffle. You enter and it's like drawing your name out of a hat. There's no guarantee that you'll get the code, and there's no way to somehow better your chances. I've seen a lot of people saying if you do this, or you pay me, or whatever, I'll give you a code, or I'll help you figure out better chances, or I'll let you use my ARMY code. If you are caught using any of those methods, not only will that ARMY membership may be revoked, not only will you probably lose your tickets, not only will you lose your Ticketmaster account, but you could be completely shut out from any sale whatsoever with BTS. There will be serious consequences for this type of stuff. So I want to make that really clear, that if you see anybody offering to give you their information or let you use their account or something like that to use their code, that's completely against the rules, and you definitely should avoid those people because they're probably looking to take advantage of you. But also, the ARMY and verified fan are two different things. The ARMY gets to go first and then verified fan. However, the big thing is that not all tickets will be most likely available for sale, and not all people will get through, like I said. So if you sign up for the presale, there's no guarantee that you'll get it. And then also, just like any other presale, most likely, all the tickets won't be released. Every verified fan presale, and just presale in general that I've done through Ticketmaster, did not have a guarantee that you would first off get through, and there wasn't all the seats available. I've done a Citibank presale, not pre-order. Make sure you pre-order Moment of the Soul 7 though. That's what you gotta do. But I've done Citibank pre-sales for Lady Gaga and Imagine Dragons, and then I've also done verified fan for Imagine Dragons. So I kind of understand how verified fan works. There may be some people who just recently did 17 that may have a bit of better perspective on how new things are, but I can explain the differences and what goes on. So for ARMY membership, they're most likely going to release maybe 300 seats, and there will probably be about 250 names called. That's just me making up numbers. Could be more, could be less. I'm not an expert in all the venue sizes. That really depends, but they do only let a small group in for presale, and then an even smaller, and then a slightly bigger group for seats available. And that's because they don't want everything being sold out on presale, and they don't want all the best seats gone, because that would cause a huge uproar, and there'd be a lot of people who said that you're creating barriers and not letting everyone have a fair chance. So Ticketmaster doesn't release all the seats. So if you go in for presale and you only see certain seats available, don't panic. That's normal. And if you are worried about not getting presale, you don't get the code or anything like that, don't panic. There will be seats on general sale. It's not going to sell out. You're not the only one who probably didn't get a code. So ARMY will get first dibs. They'll release maybe, let's say 250 ARMYs, like I said, get in, 300 seats released. They go in, they buy, and then the next day, verified fan will have their chance. They'll probably release maybe a couple hundred more seats or something like that to accommodate the bigger verified fan pool. However, one thing to note is that it seems like it will be harder to get verified fan versus just ARMY. And that's because verified fan, there will be scalpers who will put in their email for that. There will be people who go in with the intention to just resale or get as many tickets as possible and then sell the ones they don't want later. So while your chances may be better in Army, like just pool wise, verified fan is a bit trickier. So let's say Army's 1/5 of a chance, verified fan's 1/7, and it's in a bigger pool. So it is quite harder to get just regular verified fan versus Army if you put it that way. One thing to also keep in mind is verified fan, like I said, can be anybody. An email, you don't have to have an Army account. And also one thing to keep in mind when verified fan and BTS Army go on live sale, when those verified fan pre-sales open up, there will be people who say that they'll sell you your code. There will be people who say that there are codes available right now. There are people who say February 4th that the codes are all the same. For BTS Army, it really seems like they are linking the Ticketmaster account with that code. If you do not have both, it won't work. That's how it seems they're trying to position it. And that's from what I understand about why they had you fill out the Ticketmaster information as well as your Army information. It was so that way, you know, you can't sell this first dibs access. And that if you don't have both the Ticketmaster and the Army, it won't work. Additionally, with verified fan presale, it seems like they're working more and more towards having your Ticketmaster and then the code. I do know some people who said that it doesn't matter, that it'll be like times past where you, for verified fan presale, you tend to log onto the website, move into seats, and then you enter a code into like a little drop-down menu, like when you're picking your seats, and it unlocks the seats. But they've also before had it where you had to enter the code before you could access the seats. And it seems like, once again, due to security measures, that they're requiring that you sign into your Ticketmaster account and then have your presale code. So it's going to be crazy, but just to reiterate, you have to sign in with your Ticketmaster, it seems, so keep that information handy. Keep in mind what account you used when you signed up for both presales. And then also that it seems like it will be very limited, and do not panic if you do not get a code. There will be seats still available for general sale. Some of the best seats will still be available for general sale. It's not the end if you don't get presale. And additionally, do not buy any codes, do not post your code, do not share your code. This could end up in a Army membership revocation if it's for the Army presale. Could be your Ticketmaster account's banned, and it could be that they may even blacklist you from future concerts. Like, you know, you enter your name or your details and Ticketmaster goes, nope, we don't want you. And your code will also most likely be deactivated, so. Now I'm just going to kind of get into general sale tips. This is kind of like just some general things to keep in mind as you move into general sales and stuff like that. But one thing I want to reiterate is that Ticketmaster is very much taking a different approach with the BTS concert. It's not like past concerts or anything like that. Some of the past events may have had different things, but they're going to do it different for BTS because it is such a huge event, and it is such an issue that they've had in the past of their servers crashing and stuff like that. And so I think it's really important that you all keep this in mind, that somebody may say, well, you know, this is how it went for this concert, but it may be completely, totally different for BTS. And that if you ever have any questions, you can ask me on Twitter. I'd be glad to reply. You can also ask Ticketmaster or Live Nation. They are the same company. I've seen some people say that they're not the same company. You can't like use Live Nation to Ticketmaster. They are the same company. I went to their headquarters in LA, same building. People work for both sides. Like the head of the HR department, he's on Live Nation and Ticketmaster side. So obviously some things do differ, but Live Nation and Ticketmaster generally know how they're going to both work because they are, that's at the end of the day, in the same building, in the same business, and both trying to better themselves and get profits for their big old company. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you ever have any questions about how everything's going to go down, ask Ticketmaster and Live Nation. There will be some things that they won't be able to answer just because it's not something that either they haven't decided on yet at Ticketmaster or Live Nation, or whoever's working the answer desk that day just doesn't know. There are some things that haven't been released yet for security reasons. You don't want to breach, you don't want to leak. And while definitely the person at Ticketmaster or Live Nation who had that breach or that leak would get fired, still not something they want to risk. So one thing I also want to add on for pre-sale, because I saw this in a tip video this afternoon, they will not allow you to use multiple devices, tabs, or browsers for pre-sale. I understand that that's been kind of like something that we've always done, is had like 4 devices, 18 browsers open, 18 tabs open with Ticketmaster, but they will definitely not be doing that for pre-sale. They very much want you on one browser, one device for pre-sale. If you try and log on to multiple devices or multiple browsers on your Ticketmaster account, it will completely either remove you from the queue, kick you out of the queue, or not let you select tickets. So that's one thing to really keep in mind, is that with pre-sale, because it's supposed to be this dedicated window and there won't be as many people buying at once, Ticketmaster's trying to make it seem that it will be very much one device, one browser, one shot. So you can't go through and pick like 10 devices this time. Which brings me on to my next thing that I often hear from people is, what device is the best device? I think it really comes down to preference. If you're better at using your mobile phone, go for it, but my personal recommendation is a desktop computer that runs really well and an Ethernet connection with a cable. And the reason I say that is, if you've ever had a laptop and then like worked on it and just been on the Wi-Fi, or even have your laptop connected to an Ethernet port with a cable and then gone to a desktop, desktops are a bit faster because of the processing power, unless you have a really strong laptop. Student, I just recommend going on to the library on campus and using a desktop there, maybe your mom's desktop if it runs really well or something like that. Going to the library, since we do have a bit of time before ticket sales, maybe going to your local library and seeing what theirs are like, especially if you have taken the day off work or something like that. However, I understand that that's not available for everyone, so if you can't get to a desktop with an Ethernet wired connection, which most libraries and most home computers are, obviously laptop with Ethernet direct connection would be the next best thing, and that's because Wi-Fi is a bit slower than just having the raw connection, and Wi-Fi can have connectivity issues and stuff like that, so sometimes having that direct cable import will have your internet run a little bit faster. And then I recommend any Wi-Fi based device after that. So your phone or something like that, because it won't load as fast, and that's what really determines how fast you're gonna get through the queue. Which brings me to the next thing that I hear. I hear the refresh versus not refresh debate a lot. Like I said, for verified fan presale and army presale, it's going to be very much one shot, one device. So what I'm about to say here, you can't use for that. I just recommend, when it comes to presale, just waiting for it to refresh. That seems to work sometimes a lot better than trying to refresh it and reload into their servers, because they're already acknowledged traffic. The big thing with servers and stuff like that is, I really want you guys to like visualize how servers work. So imagine like a line outside of like a really narrow doorway. That's what Ticketmaster servers is that narrow doorway. And there's this giant line of people. And when people refresh and try to skip that line, it's like 15 people trying to cut to the front of the line and come in through that narrow doorway, when the doorway is already completely filled with people that are already in the line getting through. So sometimes it is just better to wait for that refresh. And that refresh that Ticketmaster automatically does to implement that queue depends on your internet speed. That's why it really is such a big thing to make sure you have really quick internet and really reliable access, because that's what will determine how quick you get through the line. It's obviously your line positioning. So that's something you have to keep in mind. I recommend not refreshing the page, especially for pre-sale. But when it comes down to general sales, I would say see how far the system will now let you go without logging in. And the reason I say that is I want you, for general sales, to maybe your fastest device to log in, be ready, and have that one be just the one that refreshes through Ticketmaster system. And then I recommend having a secondary device not logged into an account that you'll manually refresh, and that can give you a better shot. Obviously, also having a third or fourth device helps. But Ticketmaster recently with their queues has been requiring that you sign in once you get into line. And that's something that's really to keep in mind, is that you cannot, and will not be allowed to be on one Ticketmaster account on multiple computers. it's been throwing a fit about that for whatever reason, if you know, on your desktop and on your laptop and you sign in to get through the line, sometimes it kicks you out because it sees that as trying to bot or trying to be a scalper. So just let's see how long it'll let us go through the line without signing in. Obviously, if it immediately requires you to sign in upon that manual refresh or whatever you want to do on that second device, then I just recommend sticking with your first that you're already signed in on and getting ready for that long haul. BTS tickets last time took me around an hour to get and an hour 15 to get onto the online. And by that point, there were still some floor seats, I'd say probably about 50. And then there were a lot of 100s, and then obviously 200s, 300s, 400s. I am talking about Soldier Field. That's what I went to, Soldier Field. So keep that in mind when I talk about Speak Yourself tour, not this new tour. So after you see how far you can get in during that queue, just sit back, relax. I don't recommend sitting there and watching that little man try to walk across the screen. It's gonna drive you insane. But I do not recommend getting on a secondary device and start tweeting or something like that. That could affect your internet speed and the speed in which Ticketmaster will refresh itself and just check its server to see if you can get through. If you were in the queue to get in for verified fan presale, which I was, you'll notice there's a little green button that flashes on the bottom, and it's a refresh. And it just refreshes and checks how their speed's going, how fast everything is. And obviously, if you slow down your internet, the refresh might not be as fast. And so I recommend staying off your phone. It'll help with our nerves. You know, if you're sitting there on Twitter refreshing every 5 minutes and freaking out, you're not gonna be able to enjoy the ticketing experience. You're gonna be really stressed out and you're gonna be like, oh my god, all the seats are gone. Like I was. And speaking of phones, they will not allow phone calls for this concert. I know that for the Speak Yourself tour, I called in and got tickets that way. They will not do it with this one. They've specifically answered that question 1.5 million times. Phones will not be taking orders for this. If you do get into the phone line and you do, like, you're like, oh my god, I got into the phone line. Like, I'm gonna try for Chicago, you know, the BTS tour. It's not gonna say the show's available. That ticket sales are not available this time, despite the fact that they will be open. So don't try calling on your phone. You're not going to get anywhere. It's going to say, oh, sorry, tickets are not available, or blah. And you're going to freak out even more. You're going to be like, it's all sold out. When it's just, they're not allowing ticket sales on phone for these first couple of days. I don't know if they'll open it after that. For accessibility issues, you know, not everyone can use a computer and have it work as well as, you know, making a phone call due to visual impairments or something like that. So you may eventually, couple days after general sales, be able to call and make a phone call if that's really important to you. And then obviously another thing that I'm going to recommend is, a lot of people are saying go for a show one time zone earlier than you if possible and see if you get tickets. I do not recommend that for BTS shows because it's gonna kill your computer. It's not gonna like gun through that server. It's gonna be really difficult. It's gonna be slow. And you probably won't be able to completely go through the queue before it's time to buy the tickets for the actual concert you want. Now, obviously, if you're on the West Coast, you're going for a West Coast show, and you're going to try with the East Coast, you may have luck. But I wouldn't press it like I'm going for the Chicago show, so I'm not going to bother with trying for the East Coast shows. I'm just going to be ready for the Chicago shows. I'm going to sit with a coloring book, relax, and wait for the long haul. And so I just don't recommend practicing. I know a lot of people for like Monster X and like 17 tried multiple shows to see what they could get and, you know, refine their skills. But I don't recommend for that for BTS, specifically also because they're really going to crack down on security on those days. And it would really suck that if it saw you trying 10 shows and throwing your tickets away, and it goes, this is a security issue because BTS has a really bad problem with scalpers, and it kicks you out. That would really, really suck. So I just recommend not practicing, only going for the shows you want to go for, and just trying to take your stress off as much as possible. When you get that stress and adrenaline, it does impact how you're going to be able to enter your credit card and stuff like that if you are just trying to manually enter it. So relax, get ready for the long haul, relax with your BT21 cookie pillow. Please support my man. And just hang out and get ready. And my final tip is don't count your chickens before they hatch. Once you get your ticket, you got your ticket. Congratulations. But if for some reason you didn't, or you didn't get the ticket you want, there will be a lot more opportunities than it seems, but not in the first month. I do recommend just waiting closer and closer till the show gets there. If going to see BTS is something you're completely set on, book a hotel room, make your plans out there. If anything, you can always park in Soldier Field parking lot and hear the concert. At least in Chicago you can. In some of these outdoor stadiums you can too. Why not make that a day? But when I went to Soldier Field the day of, there were people on Facebook giving away A-section tickets for free, or for $5, or for $10, because they just wanted someone to be in that seat. So if it's really important to you that you see BTS, be persistent, don't give up. And no matter what happens this tour, whether you're at the 400 section or in the front row at Barricade, I hope you have fun, you stay safe, stay warm if it's going to be a little chilly out, stay hydrated, and just have a great time. Don't let anyone else pressure you into feeling that you had to get a certain ticket, or you have to make so much eye contact or have a certain fan cam. It's really what you want to do and how much fun you want to have. That's what matters. And as BTS says, love yourself and let yourself be free. All right, this has been me, your girl SJ, with some BTS tour ticketing tips. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to @ me on Twitter. I'd be glad to reply, glad to help you out. Just let me know. I am sometimes busy, so if I don't reply right away, don't panic. I'll make sure to respond. But good luck with ticketing. It's gonna be really fun to go to these concerts. It's gonna be a fun experience to get to know some ARMYs, and just remember to love yourself. See ya!